Today, I'll be comparing the Hoka Clifton 7 and the Clifton 8. Let's see which one I prefer. Early morning, 5.5 mile run, picking up some speed towards the end to test out the Clifton 7 at various paces. Total time was 54 minutes, 21 seconds. Distance was 5.55 miles, average pace 947. Heart rate was 151 beats per minute, and my average cadence was 174 steps per minute. I loved the Clifton 8 after my initial run and was very excited to try out the Clifton 7, especially after I managed to pick these up for only $80. To start, I will emphasize that this is going to be more of a cost comparison, as the Clifton 8 can be retails at $180, while I often see the Clifton 7 at around $100. So is the extra $30 worth it? I will cut to the chase and just say no. That said, I will cover some of the minor differences, and to some, the extra $30 may be worth it if you're looking for specific features that the Clifton 7 lacks. To start, both of these shoes are extremely similar, virtually the same. A lot of the lukewarm reviews on the Clifton 8 were mostly due to the lack of changes. But in some regards, it makes sense. If it's not broken, why fix it? Both of these shoes are superb, and when I talk about the differences, they tend to be very minor, and I was really focusing on the shoes while running just to see if I can pick up on any differences. Both the Clifton 7 and the Clifton 8 have a light EVA midsole and an early stage meta rocker. I actually felt that effect more on the Clifton 8. Hoka claims that the Clifton 8 midsole is 15% lighter, and however, in my size 8.5, the Clifton 7 actually came in lighter at 8.2 ounces compared to the Clifton 8's 8.4 ounces. So 2 ounce difference. And I think that the 15% difference comes from the groove in the middle, which seems to be more pronounced on the 8. So on the Clifton 8, you should see right down the middle, little channel there. while on the Clifton 7 you kind of have two separate diamonds, if you will, that are not quite as deep as the Clifton 8. So I think that that's kind of how they managed to get some of the lighter EVA midsole on the Clifton 8. The rubber on the outsole has been slightly updated from the Clifton 7, where I think the 8 has it in more prominent locations where I tend to strike, and I think that that may have contributed to some of the weight gain as well. That said, that is an area where I think the Clifton 8 does excel at. I think that the strategic rubber placement will prolong the life of the shoe, and my guess is that you can get an additional 50 miles out of the Clifton 8. When it comes to the outsole, I'd actually give the edge to the Clifton 8. Moving on to the upper, both shoes do feature a breathable upper mesh and a gusseted tongue. However, the Clifton 8 has a more padded tongue, and the Clifton 7 seems to have larger vents. Hoka describes the Clifton 8 as a breathable upper mesh, and on the 7 they described it more as an open engineered sandwich mesh. And I feel that the 8 is a warmer shoe than the 7. At the end of my runs, I feel like my feet are a little bit sweatier in the 8. A couple of other minor differences are going to be the elf ears. So on the 8, it's a little bit larger than the 7. The materials used inside as well, it seems to feel a lot more softer on the Clifton 8 and a lot more padded. That does provide for a more secure fit around the heel and comfortable ride. And on the 7, it's not quite, it's still soft, but it's not as soft as the 8, and it's a little bit pared down. And I think that that's probably would also cause some of the, despite the 15% decrease in the EVA, the weight gain may have been contributed due to the upper on this. And additionally, the Clifton 8 does have some reflective elements, both on the heel and on towards the toes, which I think are a nice touch. And so despite the weight gain and warmth, I would say the Clifton 8 is a more comfortable shoe. The padded tongue and updated interior makes it feel more plush. On the upper, I would actually say it's a draw. I think the trade-off is comfort and warmth in one shoe, and versus the more pared down and lighter on the Clifton 7. The tall EVA midsole feels soft on both shoes, and both have an early stage meta rocker, and both were an enjoyable ride. However, I did find it surprising that despite 15% less EVA, I found that the Clifton 8 was a more cushioned ride. I'm not sure if it's just because I've had the Clifton 7 for just one ride, but this one did feel a little more stiff. Again, I'm saying stiff in comparison to the Clifton 8s. Both are still very plush, but I felt like the 8 was a little softer through the entire midsole. The drawback to the soft landing, though, is lack of responsiveness. Both shoes do like being at an easy pace, but I had an easier time picking up the pace in the Clifton 7 than the 8. Neither are tempo day shoes, though, and both felt that the faster paces were a lot harder than they needed to be. When it comes to the midsole, I'd probably give it to the Clifton 8 for the more comfortable ride. The fit and silhouette are slightly different, with the Clifton 8 providing a roomier feel. The Clifton 7 is snug compared to the Clifton 8, which is something I personally prefer. I felt secure the entire time throughout my run, and for that I will give the point to the Clifton 7. This one will probably vary the most due to preferences. I know that some people do not like a snug fit and do like the roomier toe box and the Hokas. So if you're looking for more ample room, the Clifton 8's the way to go. Perhaps not as significant, design and aesthetics are similar, but I think I will give the slight edge to the Clifton 8, despite the charcoal midsole. While I love the look of an all-black shoe, which the Clifton 7 is, the upper just looks a little more premium on the 8. Things like the logo feel really nice and look really nice. The eyelet chain is a little bit more designed versus on the 7. It's a very thin layer of plastic over it. And so I think the reflective elements, your mileage may vary. The reflective elements on this are a nice touch. Finally, we get to the price, which is what I think pushes me to recommend the Clifton 7 over the Clifton 8. The Clifton 8 retails at $130, and the Clifton 7 can often be found for $100. They both look so similar that I think it's a little hard to justify the additional $30. That and other shoes in the same category as the Clifton 8, such as the Pegasus lineup, are around $120. And the Clifton series does excel at easy and daily run paces, but something like the Pegasus lineup is a little bit more versatile. Perhaps one of the best features that one may find worth it to get the Clifton 8 over the Clifton 7 is going to be the outsole. The additional rubber placement, kind of more towards the heel and on the outer edges of the shoe, should provide an additional durability. And so if you really do enjoy the Clifton series, then maybe getting the Clifton 8 might be the better choice, just so you can get a little more life out of it. After all this, though, you simply cannot go wrong with either of these shoes. Both of these shoes have been very enjoyable, and I'm excited to try other things for Hoka. For the longest time, I've heard so many great things about the company, and after trying 2 of their shoes and both being very similar, I can see why people love them so much. Thank you so much for watching, and please be sure to subscribe for updates when I reach 50 miles on the Clifton 8.